Administer, administer, and more administration. What's up, 23% Nation? It's Coach D, and guys, today I'm feeling good. Now, how in the world can Coach D be in such happy spirits when a person unfortunately has choked to death? Well, 23% Nation, let's be clear about one thing. Whenever something negative happens, there's always a possibility to turn it into a positive. So guys, that's what we're doing with this latest series of videos. So for everyone within the sound of my voice, guys, I want to introduce you to How to Help a Choking Victim Part 5. That's right, guys. This is Part 5 of a very long video series because once again, we are here to help. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and dive right on in. Okay, so some of you may be new, some of you may be old, okay? But guys, this is a very important video series, and this is actually part 5. Now, I want to give you a very quick recap of parts 1 through 4, and then I'll give you a very quick introduction to part 5. So guys, in part 1, we learned about a very unfortunate incident that happened during the 23% challenge. A young man whose age and name and birthday and all the pertinent information we are clueless to, but he did pass away because he choked to death on a slice of pizza. So that is the motivation for this video series. In part 2, we talked about the definition of what choking actually is. In part 3, we talked about how to assess someone who may or may not be choking. In part 4, we had to ask the question, are you choking? Yes or no? Now, in part 5, hence this video, guys, we're going to talk about how to administer first aid to a person that is choking. So guys, get ready because we are about to help someone who is definitely in need of our help. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So guys, step 3 simply says to administer first aid. But, and this is a big but, we must do a few things first before we begin first aid. So the first thing that we have to do, guys, is we got to check, okay? We must check and see if the person is choking severely. We have to make sure that there's a total airway obstruction. And the last thing that we need to check on is the person conscious, or we can use the word awake, or we can use the word aware of what's really going on. Now, let's do a very quick recap. If there is a total airway obstruction, what that simply means is that air is not getting into or out of the body. If air is unable to get into the body or leave the body, then yes, the person is choking severely. Now, hopefully they are conscious, okay? Because once they're conscious, then we can take the appropriate steps. All right, but guys, before we administer first aid, we must first check and see, number 1, if they're choking severely, number 2, if they have a total airway obstruction, which simply means they can't breathe, and we also have to check and see if they are conscious. All right, so now that we know that there is a total airway obstruction, meaning no air is coming in, no air is going out, right? The person is choking. So yes, I'm choking, help me, okay? So here's the next step. We must communicate our intentions to perform first aid. Because guys, here's the thing. Communication is always key. It's always important that we let the person know that we are about to help them. Now, this is coming from a website, a very credible website, where all the instructions are factual and they're all true. Now, some of you may be wondering, well, why don't I just go ahead and start performing first aid as opposed to communicating with them my intention? Guys, believe it or not, some people, even though they may be choking, may not want your help. So you have to be able to communicate your intentions first before actually putting your hands on someone. So let's be clear about this. We must communicate our intentions. And so, guys, we can, of course, apply this principle to not only someone who's choking, but of course to other areas of our lives, whether it's in our personal relationships or even on the job. It's always important that we communicate our intentions. Now, let's be clear about something. Communication, of course, can always be verbal, or it can be through body language. You see? So, in the case of our choking victim, if you don't want to talk to them, you can always use body language, okay? And since we're talking about communication, once again, let's review the universal choking sign. It's like this. 2 hands around the throat indicates that yes, I am choking. And guys, if Coach D is ever choking, there will be no need to communicate with me. Please administer first aid. I need you. Okay, now not to make light of this very serious situation, but guys, here are 2 things that we need to consider actually before we administer first aid, okay? If you are alone, so meaning it's you and the choking victim, okay? Here is what you want to do. If you are alone with the choking victim, then you want to start first aid immediately, okay? Do not wait. Do not start doing things, guys. Remember, it's you and the choking victim. So once again, if you are alone, you want to begin first aid immediately. Of course, now that you've communicated your intentions, the person has, yes, of course, help me, okay? Now, before we get into all the specifics about how to correctly administer first aid to our victim, okay, you're gonna have to wait for the next video. I do apologize, but guys, I'm giving you just a little bit at each time, okay? So next video, part 6, okay, it's coming, I promise. But for now, I just want you to know that if you are alone with the choking victim, okay, you want to begin administering first aid immediately with their approval. Okay? Now, if you are not alone, let's say that there's a 3rd person present. Now, whether you know this person or not doesn't really matter. Also, if you are in a group setting, let's say you're in a restaurant, okay, or perhaps a cafeteria, then you as the savior, right? You, of course, want to begin first aid. But then if there's somebody else hanging around or just simply watching, maybe they're in shock or maybe they're in amazement, doesn't really matter, guys. It's very important that you become the leader in that situation. So your first job is to administer first aid, and then your next job is to give commands. You need to tell someone who has a cell phone that they need to call 911 right away. So once again, guys, if you are alone with the choking victim, please start first aid immediately. If you're not alone, meaning that there's a 3rd person there, or if you're in a crowded area, then you need to immediately instruct the nearest person to call 911. It's very important that we get the ambulance there so that they can make sure that everything is a-okay. So once again, if you're alone, start first aid. If you're not alone, start first aid again, but still make sure you have someone call 911. Ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, that's all that I have for you. I know part 5 was short and sweet, but guys, I'm going to give it to you just a little bit at each time. So Coach D wants to thank you for watching. I definitely want to thank you for listening. Please like the video and please subscribe. Now, as you know, I always have a question for you. So here we go, guys. I'm about to hit you with the heat. Bam, there it is. Question of the day. Here we go. If you are alone with a choking victim, when should you call 911? Okay, that's all you have to answer. Hopefully you were listening. Answer is actually very, very easy. So here is the question once again. If you are alone with a choking victim, when should you call 911? That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your boy, Coach D. Guys, always remember, be well, be blessed, and never ever forget, Coach D loves you. I'll be back with part 6. Take care and goodbye.